Hello?
Hi, Chloe. Rachel's just fallen asleep.
I know she'll be thrilled to see you when she wakes up. Maybe come back a little later.
Hey.
Go back to sleep, kiddo. You need your rest.
Can I talk to Chloe? Alone? For a minute?
Okay, sweetie. We'll be right outside.
Oh shit, are we gonna do this now? Can I not wait until she gets out of the hospital? Seems like not the best time to drop this on her.
How are you feeling? Like I got stabbed? Doc says there'll be a sick scar. Maybe a tattoo is in order. Fuck yeah. We never actually escaped, did we? We've got time. All the time in the world. So, how did everything go? Rachel, I've got to tell you something.
Chloe, you're so bad at this. Chloe, what's wrong with you? What are you doing this now? What? No. First, she doesn't call the police in the most police-friendly problem ever. And then she's like, I have earth-shattering, horrible news for my friend. I'm gonna make the decision about whether to tell her right now when she's on her, like, hospital bed that she's on because she was, like, an inch away from actually dying. Like, can we not do it now? Can we do it, like, in a week or something? Like, holy shit, man. There's a lot of reasons why you wouldn't do this. But I can tell from the fact the game's doing the Life is Strange trademarked decision moment where you press X or B and the screen's losing its mind and weird shit's happening and thrumming music's happening and all that shit. You're like, this is the moment. You don't get to, like, hide the truth now, wait for her to heal up, and then tell her, like, next week, you know, so that she can use this very important information about the threats in her life and how fucked up her family is and everything, but, you know, maybe not have a violent reaction that threatens her life in a hospital. Like, I mean, I know she survives because she has to get murdered next game, so I know she's gonna be fine. And I wonder if some people might change her decision there. Like, there might be some people that would tell her the truth normally, but knowing that she'll be dead soon anyway might protect her from it for the purpose of, like, you know, skipping over. Like, it's like, why bother telling her the truth? That she should let her be happy for the weeks she has left or whatever, because I don't know what the time scale is between now and Life is Strange or when she disappeared and everything, but so on. In fact, you might say, if you tell her everything, you might even be able to interpret that as being why she disappeared and then died. Although she's gonna die no matter what. Like, you can't change the events of Life is Strange as far as I'm aware. I don't know. I just think it's incredibly, deeply, wildly fucked up to not tell her what you found out, because what you found out is really horrible, and you shouldn't allow anyone to live with someone like that without knowing it. Like, that's, you don't know what they're capable of besides that. It's horrible. And also, if you keep these kinds of things secret, you enable these people to continue to do those kinds of things, which just makes the world worse as a whole, let alone the debt you're failing to your friend. Yeah, I gotta say that that was a way easier choice than even last time. And frankly, the choice at the end of the last game was pretty easy too, because your choice was to kill an entire city or one person. Like the sheer scale of the absurdity of that, even while the person themselves is like begging you to like save their family who's going to die and all that. Like the selfish lunatic Max that chooses Chloe over all of Arcadia Bay is like, that's concerning. But much like that, like it was even easier to choose this one, because like this one is like your choice is to speak up or to not at all, to just let a lie happen. And also looking at that whole montage at the end of every little character, I'm like, wow, like seems like every single storyline ended the best possible way, as far as I can tell, based on the little montage. Yeah, this some dark, fucked up shit. Like that. The other option is like the equivalent of like how rapists get away with things and stuff like that. Like they didn't go with having an actual rape in here. I assume none of the paths involve that ever, basically. But like that, like, and I'm taking it to an even darker place, but like that's the type of shit that happens, is like a victim that blames themselves and keeps quiet, and then bystanders and witnesses to the situation also like keeping quiet because they don't want to rock the boat and stuff like that. And then horrible monsters continually get away with being horrible monsters over and over again because they never get punished for it, and that kind of shit keeps happening. And it's like this is all like really like the context of like an almost hilarious like drug hitman thing is like contrived and nonsensical, but you can very easily draw parallels to actual real things that happen in real life, and it's a real fucked up territory to go in the other direction and be an apologist for this stuff and make excuses for the monster of why it's okay for them to do this or why we're going to let them get away with it because blissful ignorance of monstrosity, as if just plugging your ears and going la 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 makes the monster not a monster. Like, what the fuck? Nothing about that was okay. There's no level on which what was happening there is an excusable thing for someone to do. And it straight up is like, it's assault, it's kidnapping, and in some levels attempted murder, and also just the many levels of fucked up involved with just like the concept of like forcefully injecting somebody against their will with drugs in general, let alone being someone who specifically is in danger of relapsing if you do so. Like there's, oh boy, there's so many layers of fucked up there, and he's instantly one of the most morally reprehensible characters I've really encountered in games. But and it's like obviously there's way worse ones. Like Jefferson was literally a mass murderer, and then you got like not a game, but you know, Thanos, and like there's a bunch of other characters that have way worse things on paper. Being a mass murderer is generally worse than kidnapping somebody and injecting them once and so on, I guess. But like the context of this choice and the surrounding story for it and everything about that is way too close to reality. Like the choice to not say something is way darker than any of the other shit. You're not punching a purple man in the face to try to save the galaxy, and oh no, what a bad guy because of his wanting to kill everybody in the galaxy and stuff like that. Like, it's so cartoonish that it's hard to be as revolted by it, even though obviously it is way worse because he's like Hitler times a billion basically. But like, Jesus Christ, like this is really fucked up. So I was a little pre-warned. People were like, I really liked episode 1 and 2 or whatever, but 3 sucks. It was like a thing that like I heard like 10 people say. So I was kind of curious what was going to happen, and I would be a little curious to see the specifics of the reasons why they felt that way. It might be the weird like stalker friend that shows up, because I'm still reeling about that scene where weird stalker pseudo boyfriend like corners you in a room and threatens you and everything. Like, that's all genuinely fucked up too, and also weirdly like close to home, like real things that happen territory. But and like, so like the scene itself actually doesn't have that much wrong with it, including how deluded he is. Like, nothing he says is accurate. He sounds like a fucking lunatic and has no concept of reality or what's happening around him, and just says stuff that's convenient to him that makes his narrative work for him, which is all also really creepy. That all works on some level, but I feel like they could have built him up a little bit more. Like characters like Nathan Prescott, even in the original series, where they were kind of actually less important ultimately because they weren't the ultimate villains and stuff. They're like a red herring. Got more development, and you got more into their head a little bit more. That dude just came out of nowhere with his crazy, like, and narratively, it's a little like the scene itself works devoid of context on some level for what it was trying to do, I suppose, but it works better as part of a larger narrative if it's actually set up more. And maybe there's an optional conversation I missed that makes him come off as weirder or something, but he really does just seem to go from like 1 to 11 out of nowhere, and it's real odd when it just happens. Just the lack of setup, also just lack of exposure to that character. Like if he was just a character we were around more and encountered more, then at least it would feel more relevant for the climax of the movie, game, whatever. As it stands right now, I feel like it almost would have been equally valid just to slip that into a different episode. Like if it was this uncomfortable thing that happened in episode 2 at some point, having it happen like right before the ending was actually slightly weird, because like it usually during the climax you're just using the like important characters to do a big thing. It's odd. And yeah, there's a lot of weirdness that is going on about the ending of the game, where it seems contrived just to make that one decision possible at the end. Like you had to be alone with her in order to make that specific decision an option, where a bunch of information is revealed to just you, and you can choose to reveal it or not reveal it, and so on. And like if the stereotypical ending happened where all of your childhood friends band together to support you, then suddenly you have a bunch of witnesses, and that destroys the decision. And if you call the cops, then this all becomes very public. So it feels like they suppressed the tropey stereotypical ending to make the decision happening, but they also suppressed Chloe's logic on a distressing scale to stop her from calling the police in the most police-call-y situation ever, just so that decision could happen. Like they had to do some strong contrivances. So I would imagine that probably the reasons people weren't psyched about this episode are probably the same reasons I'm not psyched about this episode, which is one, the weird lunatic man comes out of nowhere to corner you in the office. Like that entire scene is just so odd, and I have to have faith in humanity on some level, that like every Let's Player in the world is probably screaming at their televisions like, call the police, what's wrong with you, during that ending. And I imagine that every player was probably thinking that. I would be shocked to find that, like, because I did all this before any of the episodes aired, I would be utterly shocked to find out that anyone was like, ooh, Keith's wrong about this, or whatever the fuck. Like that this, like, I would be worried if my take on this is controversial on any level. Because what the fuck? Like, of course you call the police. What the fuck? There's almost no elements about here. No, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that more than half of people fucking... That's so disappointing. How about my one friend that I don't know who it is? Yeah, see? You go, that person. I don't know who that person is. I still don't know. There's just one person on my friends list that played this game, apparently. Oh no. Oh, it's too real. It's too real. It's too real. I don't like it. I don't like it because it speaks to the whole thing where in reality, so many of these crimes go unreported, and like women are victimized and fucked up things happen, and like no one tells anyone, and it just keeps going, and people don't get punished, and then no one never knows about the thing they did. Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm actually convinced that that's what they were going for, is that they wanted to do like an allegory for like, they wanted to do like an allegory for someone getting away with rape, essentially, is what I think was actually what they were going for with this narrative. because first of all, I watch a lot of television and I play a lot of games and so on, and like there's a lot of controversy about how any form of sexual assault is portrayed in media, and on a regular basis there's a lot of question. It's kind of like how in 13 Reasons Why there was all that controversy about the suicide that they showed on screen, and like the reasons for the suicide and how the person justifies the suicide to themselves, and also showing the suicide on camera, including also the method of suicide. All of that stuff combines into a problem thing where it's like you're actually, it's a thing where the form of media can kind of make the thing worse. And so like, and much like that, like there's a lot of sexual assault stuff where it's like there's controversy of like what way you should show it and how you deal with it and how the narrative should treat it as a whole, like a bunch of other stuff. So I can almost see them intentionally sidestep that by not showing it literally in here, but having something that has a lot of similar versions. Because you have a woman that is taken against her will. She is bound. She's at the mercy of another person. Her body is literally violated, and she tells you not to tell anyone, and she keeps it a secret, and the person who did it got away with it, and all this other shit happens. And like there's a lot of reasons around it, and there's a lot of other layers to it that don't make it a perfect one-to-one and so on. And also there's a whole conversation to be had about how whether or not you should be talking about other people's problems in these situations, like when somebody doesn't want to be outed as having gone through this kind of thing, and their way of dealing with it is not to push because they don't want to. It's not just rocking the boat with other people, but literally they don't want to have their narrative be defined by the thing that happened to them, and they don't want to go through the whole court thing where they'll likely lose. It's very possible that they will lose while everyone publicly knows their story, so they don't even get their justice, but then everyone knows about the thing. Like all of that stuff too, that's a whole other story, a whole other discussion to have. But here's where the allegory breaks down, is that if they were going for that, this was not literally a rape, because this was actually like, this was an assault via drugs. And like, I don't think anyone, like, I think that changes everything somewhat via like when it comes to the discussion of like whether or not it's okay to tell everyone about this thing that happened to somebody else. Because it's like seeing someone, you know, get stabbed, like earlier in the episode, that kind of stuff. Like I think the variables are very different, but the fact that, oh my God, so many people went with a lie. Jesus Christ. I assume this is why the game, I don't know anything about the award, but this game got some sort of award for like Games for Change or something. I don't know the context. I have not seen in a single interview or watched the award ceremony, which I don't even know if there was a video of that or if that was just like they just get it in the mail or something. I don't know anything about the context for that, but I can almost imagine that this is why, right? This decision. And this is actually one of the most powerful cases of showing the percentages in a game, because it's often like, oh, did you blow up the Reapers, or like what happened, or oh man, did you let Clementine see the bad thing you did in Walking Dead? And like there's so many things where they show percentages in games and decisions happen, and it's like, oh, you did that, no, I didn't do that, I did this, and so on and so forth. But like this one specific time is actually this might be the most impactful use of that percentage system in a game like this ever made, basically, because it's a thing that's really close to real life issues, where the real life issue is specifically the choice to tell people or not about the thing that happened, and the stat you get, astonishingly, reinforces the thing that happens in real life, which is like next level fucked up, and it's showing you that it's just showing a mirror to people and showing you what they do, and like collectively, and it just, that tells a story that's really fucked up. In some way, the sloppiness of this episode is redeemed just by this moment right now, where the game judges you basically right back to your face in a way more real way than they ever do. Like, it's like, this is what you did right here. It's really fucked up. It is really fucked up. I don't know. Have your discussions in the comments. I'm sure some people will disagree with me. And I'm also sure that this will spawn at least one very not civil conversation somewhere. Because people don't deal with these subjects very well in a lot of ways. But fuck, also, after what I've said, if somebody did the other choice, they're probably feeling judged right now and so on. But maybe they just didn't think about it in these ways and didn't fully think through what they were doing and so on. I don't know. I mean, on some level, if you feel judged, that might be a good thing. Because this is all fucked up. This is all fucked up. What? Oh, it's a different episode. Whoops. Mix them up a little bit. Next. You killed the plant with soda or you killed the plant with neglect are the two choices. That's incredible. That's the dumbest, weirdest shit. Okay, no matter what, you kill the plant because Chloe will not get water for it. So accepting the photograph is like basically universal. One of the most universal things ever, basically. I did not have Drew's money. But Drew's money just keeps showing up over and over and over again. There really was like a constant ongoing thing where you could choose to not have Drew's money on you here. I mean, there's the whole, like, you had a couple chances in episodes 1 and 2 to get money, but then not spend it or not give it up or whatever the hell in various ways. And you could still have it here. And of the people that did have it here, the vast majority of them give it to Damon. Probably when Damon's attacking. Probably when they're attacking. Huh. I wonder what the situation here is. I mean, you go to the hospital no matter what, so you probably go there because she got attacked, which means even if I assume you give the money first. But then later on, but she still gets attacked after that because of what she does, which, if I remember correctly, didn't he turn his back like he was leaving and then she attacked him from behind with a 2x4? So like, I mean, obviously Damon's really fucked up for 100 reasons, but also like, you really fucked that situation up, Rachel. Why are you just charging someone and attacking them when the situation is de-escalating and is going to go away? Like, I get it, she wants to know about her mother, but like, there's some real fucked up steps involved there. Oh no, Rachel can meet her mother? Oh no. Alright, so people can donate Drew's money, or you can keep Drew's money altogether, give it back to him, or you can donate it to the firefighter fund? On one hand, like, I guess teach Drew a lesson that you shouldn't put drug money in your family, but like, if you still have it, you're not going to give it to Damon, like, shouldn't you? Apparently Drew's family could use it because of the the father being homeless or whatever. So 78% of people visit the Norths. That's just the choice to go into that side door, I guess. And there's just variables here. Wait. 1% of people don't visit them. Your options are you sparred with Drew over Pudding or you played tabletop with Mikey. But I did play tabletop with Mikey, and it's not listed as me doing that. It might be implying here that if you visit the Norths, plural, at the hospital, that means they're both there, and maybe in the other situation only Drew or Mikey is there, so you do something with just them, and the other one's not there, and maybe it groups into this if they're both there. I don't know, it's weird. Why would it... I can't think of why they wouldn't both be there. Surely only one of them can be hurt, and the other one cares about the other one, right? So, I don't know. It almost looks like this one might be miscounting your vote or something by not correctly counting people that played tabletop with Mikey. You didn't donate to the firefighters fund, everybody basically. Yeah. I mean, you're not really in a position to deal with that kind of shit in this game. It's a cute detail, I guess, but that's about it. You convinced Damon that Sheldon was the snitch. That's most people, apparently. No one goes with Gerald, mainly probably because they don't know who Gerald is. Oh wait, was Gerald the t-shirt vendor? Because that was the third picture that was there. So I guess it would be that. That'd be a weird thing to pick, between Sheldon, who attacked you, and Thunder, who is the person that is the snitch, but also is somebody who, you know, is snitching on a drug dealer. It's probably better to have them that way. So 80% of people, 82% of people, Rachel does not meet her mother. 18% Rachel does meet her mother. I don't know what the variable there was. I straight up don't know which specific thing needs to change for that to happen. That's interesting. That's interesting. Huh. Yeah, I assume, I don't know. You had the option of like use the knife or use the money or whatever, which, I mean, it's a little rough because you just don't have the proper control over your character. Like, those should not be completely universal options. Like, on some level, I was kind of frustrated that that entire interaction was one choice and that Chloe just immediately loses control of the situation. I'm like, why are you letting the dangerous armed drug dealer murder man approach you at all, Chloe? No, don't. No. You should be like stepping back or something, or keeping a distance. Try to control the situation on some level. She just held the money out like a shield and then was shocked when that didn't work out. And I'm like, you had a knife. I shouldn't have to immediately pick the knife. I should be able to be like, take the money and leave as an option, because then you get a non-violent option where you can then just free the mother and go. First, also, like, I don't know. Damon was weird. Like, Damon was confusing me a bit, because like what Damon does is Damon acknowledges you did a bunch of things to help him and brought him the money. And then even after all that happens, like you burn the evidence of his crime and you bring him the money. Like, why not just let Rachel's mother go? Why does he care so much? Why does he even inject her? He's a weird fucking villain that just does whatever the plot needs him to do. And it's kind of annoying. Yeah. I'm curious what the exact variables are, though, for the Rachel met her mother thing, which apparently everyone fails at. But you know what? Maybe they deserve it if they also do this shit. Guys are wrong. All right. Yeah, that's not what that looked like at all. What? Those are like different people. Who are those people in those pictures? That's not what they look like. Oh. No. Don't just show that now. Like, we know that's gonna happen. Let that be the quiet tragedy. Don't just literally show it. Oh. Well. I guess if anyone watched this without watching Life is Strange Season 1 and were mad that I spoiled things, even though I did say up front that was going to happen, the ending of the game spoils it too. They just explicitly show that. That's a weird choice, right? Like, people might know this is a prequel and choose to play it first. Like, chronologically, you could play this game first, and you could play the bonus episode, and you could play then you could play season 1 next, and you could experience the whole narrative in chronological order, and it could still work, I assume, similar like watching like the Star Wars movies in order and stuff like that. You don't need to just spoil that, because like for a significant part of season 1, you still think that Rachel might be alive. You don't find out until like episode 4, I think, that she's dead when you find her body, and you're like, oh shit, because for the longest time she seemed to be like a missing person. Which, come to think of it, is actually, I won't say the game, but that was actually a similar plot point in another game. Yeah, the character that's missing the entire game, that's off camera the entire game, then you find out they were dead the whole time. Yeah, I won't say what I won't. Yeah, but some of you know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's a weird choice, because you're spoiling that something, like, if you don't know that Mark Jefferson has a weird murder basement where he takes pictures of drugged girls and then murders them, even based on that, like just the fact that there's a phone going off with 17 mixed calls and a bunch of photos are being taken, like even if you don't know that's what happened, you at least think that Rachel's probably dead now, because when you missed calls means she's not answering the phone and it's an emergency and bad things happening, right? And then shutters and flashes of a camera, that tells the audience, oh, this is a crime scene. So you think, oh, Rachel's been murdered here and they're photographing the crime scene. What's really happening is that her phone's on the counter because Mark Jefferson is photographing her drugged body and then is going to kill her later and dump her in the junkyard, I believe. But you'll still get the right answer, which is that she's murdered from that, which spoils her plot line for season 1. That's a weird choice. It's a weird choice when you probably know that a chunk of your audience will play the prequel first before season 1 if they know it's a prequel, because I did that with Yakuza. I played Yakuza 0 before playing Yakuza 1, and it was fine. Except for the part where they're better writers when they made Yakuza 0 than when they made Yakuza 1, so it was a noticeable step downward. I feel like it would have been better to just not acknowledge season 1 at all in this game and just tell your story, and then, you know, people who already played season 1 get to know in the back of their heads that both these characters are going to die, and that's what's tragic. And that's a little tragedy thing in the background. Like, you don't need to point it out. That's a weird thing to do. Alright, we'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna go run off to play another puzzle game to even things out, because people are not particularly fond of the Life is Strange playthroughs. The viewership's actually pretty garbage. And then after the next puzzle thing, I'll come back and play this little goodbye thing. I don't know how long it is. It might be one episode, or it might be like, when I say episode, I mean videos that I make. It might be like one quick episode, or it might be a little mini series too. It's probably shorter than these ones at the very least, but these are like 4 hours long, so you never know. Thanks for watching like always, guys. Hopefully no one's overtly mad at me, I guess, right now, but I think it's good to discuss and think about these like awareness campaign level narratives that are happening here. I'll see you guys next time. Hey, by the way, I'm recording this as like an afterthought because it slipped my mind because I was focused by the very distracting things to talk about that took me away from talking about this. But I think my single biggest criticism of all of Life is Strange Before the Storm is that the voice acting is bordering on bad, like all the way through, for almost every character actually. And I don't know what happened, if it was like the voice direction or what, and I don't remember this being an issue for Life is Strange Season 1, but it's been like years, so you'll forgive me if I'm just wrong or whatever. But every time anyone said anything, they said it really flat and quiet and slowly. And it was like, it was lacking all verve, it was lacking all like emotion a lot of the time, and people were saying stuff so robotically, almost like they were reading it off a script for the first time while they were saying it. And also they sound like they're way too close to their microphone, and it sounded weird because you could hear their breathing and stuff like that. But also like everyone's just talking so slowly, and like everyone was maintaining the same weird monotone pace. And even some people even pointed out that like, hey, that's the same character played by the same voice actor from the last game, right? They seem to have taken a step down for some reason. In a few different cases for a few different characters, people pointed that out. And like for a lot of the stuff, like it's a multi-part thing where like one, the characters are less believable when it's like that, but also like until like the actual emotionally charged things happen in this game, I feel like kind of sleepy and detached from what's happening on the screen, just because it's so unengaging. The performances are so not interesting. Everyone's just monotoning, and they don't feel like real people, and it's very distracting. And I like, if I felt unmotivated, if I seemed unmotivated to do commentary at times and seemed quiet, is partly because the game was kind of lulling me into this passiveness because of how unengaging its voice acting was, and how, and like they talk for so long and so slowly, but they're so like they sound sleepy, and like it really hurts the delivery of the narrative, and really like I'm just like sort of just getting through the episode for like there's like a middle chunk of the episode where I'm kind of just putting up with it for a bit to get to the meat of it, and then like the more emotional climaxes happen at the end of each episode, and suddenly like, oh yeah, all right, and then I kind of end on a high note where I'm more positive on the game. But for a decent chunk of the game, I'm just like, and like the entire, to an extent, this was like a lot of the conversations happening at the hospital, where like I think like, yeah, I get it, it's supposed to be sad, and people get kind of quiet and withdrawn when they're sad in sad situations and so on, but still the voice acting felt wrong, in particular because they kind of already sound like that in the past. But in addition to that, like they just, no one had any emotion. The weird, it just felt wrong to me. I don't know how to articulate it perfectly because I'm not a professional in this field that knows what the right words to say to critique this kind of thing, but I'm just like, this isn't right. Something, all the way through, the voice acting kind of needed a redo, and it was odd, especially knowing that some of these people are better in other things, so I can only assume it's the voice direction that suffered, with this being like some other studio called Deck 9 that, I don't know, that handled this instead of Don't Nod. I don't know. Anyway, signing off. Oh yeah, PPS, second addendum or whatever. Just want to point out real quick, if someone being kidnapped and drugged is a thing that you keep a secret to not rock the boat and so on, you're enabling literally what happened with Mark Jefferson, which is how Rachel dies. Like, that's why they did this, right? Is because in season 1, Rachel will be killed by Mark Jefferson, who kidnaps and drugs women and in some cases kills them. Like, you're like letting it happen in this prequel, and then it will happen in the sequel, and it's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? How? I'm trying to understand. How did more than half of players, who I presume many of them played before the storm, they played season 1 and saw this happen and wanted to be able to stop it, but they let people get away with it in the prequel? I feel like something's wrong.